Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Her Space, the podcast that creates footprints for a purposeful life. Before we dive into this episode, I would like to take a moment to appreciate you for tuning in. Her Space podcast has a vision of becoming the number one health, wellness, and spiritual podcast in Africa and beyond. And you too can be a part of this journey. So if you haven't already, please take a moment to click that subscribe button, like this episode, and share your thoughts in the comment section below. We value your contributions as they help us grow. Thank you for being a part of this. It's January and we are celebrating creativity. And to kick off this celebration, we have our first speaker of the year who needs no introduction. She's a creative that has stolen many, many hearts with the energy she projects in her brand. She is, to the best of my knowledge, the pioneer of safe spaces for women in Abuja, and I think that already gives it away. She is the founder of Chai with Soulunraveled, the amazing Sabeeha Husseini. Sabeeha, it is an honor to finally do this with you. I'm excited.
Alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much, Anissa, for having me. Honestly, I'm so excited about this. This is my
Yeah.
first podcast for the year and hopefully my only podcast
For
for
the
the
year.
year.
Alhamdulillah, thank you. The pleasure is all mine. Um, you just concluded one of your retreats and it just looked so amazing. And
It
I'm just curious
was.
to know, how was that experience for you? How has it been?
So the retreats in general or this one specifically?
This one specifically.
Okay, so 2 days ago I was looking at videos from the retreat that we posted on our Instagram page. So I was just going through the Instagram page and looking at the videos and I just started crying. I sat down, I kept my phone and I was just crying and I'm like, why am I crying? My sister was like, why are you crying? My son was like, Mama, why are you crying? And um honestly, I was just full of gratitude. You know when you have an image in your head and you sound like you're crazy?
Yeah,
And that was what Chai started as, even from the beginning. It sounded like a crazy idea. A medical
yeah,
doctor, like, what do you mean that that's what you want to start doing? You get.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
the same idea going into retreats was like a crazy idea, especially from where we are from. Like, who
yeah.
is going to hop on this? Who is going to want to
It's
do this? Who
really-
would pay for this? Who would
Yeah,
allow the women to go for this? I don't know if you get what I'm saying. And then
yeah,
I had the
absolutely.
idea for the international retreats. And then everyone is like, Sabia, you're just crazy. It's not going to
Mm-hmm,
happen.
mm-hmm.
And then it did. Like,
Yeah,
it did. Allah planted the idea in my heart and He nurtured it. He facilitated it. I committed it completely to Him. Even when I made dua consistently, I kept saying, Ya Allah, I have committed this to you. I am doing it for your sake because I
yeah.
know what women get out of it.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
honestly, we did like everything I envisioned, all the activities, the balance of spirituality and self development and fun for women to find their inner joy and their inner child, all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Everything, we balanced it well, Alhamdulillah. And looking back, like all I was seeing was joy. I was seeing light-hearted women because when they came and when they left, like I could see the difference.
yeah.
Kawai, Alhamdulillah, it was so humbling. Kawai, it was one of the reasons why I was crying because I was so full of gratitude. Like Allah did not forsake me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. No, that sounds
Alhamdulillah.
so beautiful. Even
Yeah.
I am feeling emotional hearing you talk about
Alhamdulillah.
it. Yeah. And I think one of the things, because I always said, even whenever I look at your page, you just strike me as a visionary person, which I am as well. And my favorite people to be around are people that are visionary because I
Mm.
don't feel as crazy. So
Yeah. Yeah.
hearing you say this, it was just like, oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I know what you're saying. I
Yeah.
understand it. Alhamdulillah. And
Alhamdulillah.
being a creative is a gift in itself from Allah. And then having to pursue a career, so to speak, or build a career around it, I think it's a different kind of gift.
Yeah.
Um, for you, for I think I started following your page sometime in 2017, and at that
Wow.
time, yeah, and at that time, I think it was more about poetry than anything else.
Yeah.
But eventually, we watched your evolution over time, and I just would like to know about that journey, starting from there, being a medical doctor, moving from that to, I know there was a YouTube era as well, and then
Yes.
now, so
Yeah.
just take us along, just carry us along that journey. I'm so fascinated by it.
Okay, so I think I've always been a creative person. And even
Yeah.
when I decided I wanted to be a doctor, my dad really didn't want that. He wanted me to do something that I would be more creative than structured
Mhm.
into something like medicine, right? Not that I
Yeah.
wasn't smart, like he just felt like I would thrive better in a creative environment. From the start, that was what he wanted. Something I would write more, I would talk more, I would do more, something new every day. Because he felt like
Yeah.
I used to get bored easily and I would just get bored of the constantness of medicine. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
When at the time I didn't get that, I told him like I cannot do medicine as a hobby, but I can do my writing and other things as hobbies, right? And I loved
Mhm.
medicine, so I still went into medicine. And I feel like at this point, if I had yesterday, I was telling my sister like if I hadn't studied medicine, I don't think people will take me as seriously as they do now because I proved that I could do it. I don't know if that makes sense. But
Absolutely.
eventually, I allowed myself at every stage of my life to do the things that you know I was attracted to, the things that I felt like I was aligning with. Like at the time in medical school, I felt the need to write a lot, and I wrote a lot. Like in a day, I would write 3 to 4 poems on a daily
Mhm.
basis. In class,
Yeah.
within class, randomly, in the middle of conversations. Kawa, at every point, words used to just flow out of me, and I wouldn't say them out loud. I would write them down here and there, again and again, constantly. And I used to share them, and that was how I built a community. Now, at the time, I did not think that what I was doing was building a community, engaging with people, building communities of writers and creatives, and attracting those type of people to my platform. What I was doing at the time was just writing poetry and sharing poetry, and there wasn't many people. There were many people, but there wasn't many people being front stage and center of it. I don't know if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So there were
Yeah.
just a few
Absolutely.
of us. There was just a few of us, and Alhamdulillah, that community grew. We used to hold competitions online and all. It was beautiful while it lasted, but then I
Yeah.
gradually outgrew it. I don't know if that makes sense. I outgrew it.
Hmm.
I felt I still do write, but they're very personal, and I don't feel the need to share them. And I think that's okay. At the time, I felt I wanted to. Now I don't, and that's okay. I don't like to force things, and I don't feel the need that okay, everybody knows you as a poet. Now I feel obligated to be a poet by force. I mean, look at medicine. I don't feel obligated to do it by force. I don't force anything in my life like that. So I moved out of that, and then I felt like the creativity dragged me into creating the vlogs, like just sharing, building community, and all of that. And I did those while it lasted as well. I built community. Like now, looking back, I feel like all the dots are connecting. I have
Yeah.
outgrown certain parts of myself, but the dots connected, and they add up to where we are at now.
Yeah.
And sometimes at the time when I was doing it, I didn't think that it will lead to anything. Like, this is just me being young and allowing myself to do what I want to do, how I want to do it, and all. But I outgrew it, and that's okay. And that's very important for us to even know and acknowledge that we have outgrown something. And that's beautiful because we're not supposed to stay stagnant in a place, right? And
Yeah.
also to allow ourselves for us to get to a particular point, you have to go through it to get through it. And it eventually adds up, it eventually connects. There is a reason why you go through a process. You can't buy experience. It happens over a period of time. And even with chai, like with my experience with social media influencing and vlogging and content creation and
Yeah.
writing and all of that has added up to where we are at now, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So that
Hmm.
was how it grew. And then I've always been passionate about women. I love women. I love communities of women. I love
Yeah.
seeing women be safe spaces for each other, especially because I didn't really have that growing up. So I wanted to create that. It was very important for me
Yeah.
to give what I never got, what I wanted to have at that time. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it grew from there. Now, when I first started, not that I had very big dreams for Chai, but along the
Yeah.
way, I started to have very big dreams for it. But even now, it's not where I want it to be, but it's a process, as I said. Like, processes takes time. If I had started retreats 3 years ago, it would have failed. But we grew to that level, and then it was time to go to the next level. Now the next thing I want to do, if I do it now, I will fail, but I will grow there, and then we will do it. I don't know if that makes sense,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you have to go through it to get through it. You can't just wake up one day, oh, can you believe Chai is doing retreats? Me too, I'm gonna start doing retreats. No, it
Yeah,
took Chai a long time to get here. This is the 6th year of Chai.
yeah,
It took a while, it took a long time, it took process, it took trust, consistently delivering again and again for people to even trust the brand enough to hop on whatever it is you're willing to sell, you know.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
Alhamdulillah, like as I said, it's been a very beautiful process.
Yeah, it has. It has. And I think one of my favorite things about your brand as well is how the rest of us that have followed you through the journey, we sort
Yeah.
of feel like a part of the journey.
Yeah,
And
Alhamdulillah.
yeah, like we're as emotionally invested as you are. And I think that's also a very beautiful gift that you have, the ability to just carry people along and make them feel like they are all a part of something. Um,
Alhamdulillah. Honestly, that's so sweet of you to say.
Alhamdulillah, yeah. When you spoke about your dad being so supportive of you, I mean, he nurtured your creativity, so to speak. He saw it in you and he wanted to nudge you towards that.
Yeah.
I also feel that's something very, very rare.
Mhm.
For most people, I think the discouragement to pursue creativity mostly comes from parents, and it's not because the parents are villains in any way. It's
Yeah.
mainly because this
It's a
is what
place
they
it comes from a
genuinely
place of love.
love. Yeah, they genuinely believe that's what's best for you, and no one takes well. The world is changing definitely, but when I was growing up, creativity was seen as a hobby, sort of like
Yeah.
what you said
Yeah.
when you saw yourself as a doctor, but you wrote and you spoke as a side gig, sort of.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful that you were able to take from all of that experience, and now you're sort of the poster child, for lack of a better word. You're the
Mm.
poster child of creativity in Ariwa, and I think that's really beautiful. But
I
did
think
it
it's my
ever?
prayers, parents' prayers.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. No,
let me not go,
alhamdulillah.
let me not
It's
take all the credit, because let's
yeah,
just I know you've not landed what you want to say, but I want to say that this is like a lot of privilege, wallahi, alhamdulillah.
it is.
Like,
It is.
I am privileged that I have parents that want me to do the best, to be the
Yeah,
best I can be in whatever I choose to do. And that's one thing my father used to say, like a mantra when we were
yeah,
growing up. He used to always say, whatever you do, do it with passion and be the best at it. He's a doctor, and he's a fantastic doctor, and he's content doing that because that's
yeah,
what he's good at and that's what he loves to do, right? He's the
yeah,
poster child for medicine with passion, whether it is satisfying, gratifying, whether there is job satisfaction or not. He loves what he does. He
yeah.
doesn't care about the pay or the lack of
What?
whatever, you know, because he
Mhm.
loves what he does. So he wanted that for us as well. And even recently, I was telling a colleague of his that came to our house, and my dad was there. And I was telling her, I said, not many parents will give me the freedom that they gave me after I had finished medical school outside the country, and they invested money in dollars for me to go to medical school,
Yeah,
for me to come back and decide, you know
absolutely.
what, this is not what I want to do. So what were you doing all this time? You
Yeah.
didn't know what you wanted to do. Do you get, like, for them to
This
give
was
me the
actually where
freedom?
I was landing when you
So
said you I haven't landed.
honestly, because like I'm like, you know what, I don't even know whether me as a parent will have that kind of patience, because
Yeah,
my parents allowed me with no pressure. Irin asamun ido, like they were just looking at me to see, what are you doing, how do you want to do it? And I keep saying, like I know what I'm doing, and they trusted that I knew what I was doing. And it took so many years. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
what are
yeah,
you
yeah.
doing? I'm doing videos. What are you doing? Like, oh, like
Yeah, I understand
yeah,
that
but
perfectly. And
alhamdulillah, like, but wallahi,
yeah.
they've supported, they've prayed,
Hmm.
they've put
Hmm.
barakah, they keep like telling me, guiding me. There are times when my parents, like when I was vlogging, my mom was against vlogging and did not like
Yeah,
it. And at the time we used to have little fights with her about it. But now looking
yeah,
back, I see and I understand what she meant and why she, you know, guided me in that way. um,
Yeah.
because we have values, family
Yeah.
values, Islamic
Yeah.
values, and all of those
Yeah.
things that did not align with certain things like that,
Things. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, like for the guidance, and Alhamdulillah for the privilege and the freedom to be able to explore outside of what they
The
paid for
street.
me to study, but to give me the freedom to be who I am now,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even now, like they say, like, it's purpose, like it's something that guides you and something
Yeah.
that pulls you. For my
Hmm.
dad, it's medicine. For my mom, it's medicine as well. For me, it's
Yeah.
something else. For my siblings, it's something else. It's okay, Alhamdulillah. And I feel like that's one of the biggest things that I've learned from my parents that I think I would want to take on as a parent, would be to like allow my children to live their lives. There
To
is only
just
so
be.
much
Yeah.
forcing you can do. We can't live vicariously through
Mhm.
our children. We have to allow them to choose
Yeah.
their own path, no matter how much we love them, no matter how much guidance we think we can give them. It's not, we
Yeah.
are just shepherds. And that's
Yeah.
one thing that my parents have really instilled in me, is like they can help guide, but they can't force. They can take me to the river, but they can't force me to drink the water. Yeah,
Absolutely. That's really beautiful. Hear you talk about your parents that way, and it just goes to re-emphasize the role that parents play in
yeah, I
nurturing us,
agree. I
like you
agree.
mentioned, because they held space for you and
Yeah.
just allowed you to grow into yourself. You are flourishing because of that.
Alhamdulillah.
Yes,
Alhamdulillah, honestly.
that. And I think that's really amazing. But I wanted to ask though, on your path, given
Mhm.
that everything you have said now, with they invested so much in you to become a doctor, you did go there, but then you decided you didn't want to. There was a lot of pivoting on your path. Did
Yeah.
it at any point in time feel like failure to you, or like you were disappointing them? Did
No,
that thought cross your
no,
mind?
no. See, I'm very graceful with myself. I'm
That's
very
good.
graceful with myself, and I'm very trusting of Allah. And as I said,
Yeah,
all the dots connect. I don't think
yeah,
I'll be this good at what I do if I didn't have my medical degree as a background for me.
yeah, yeah.
I believe like there is a reason why I studied medicine, and maybe
Mm-hmm,
the dots have not completely connected, but I know that
mm-hmm.
there is a reason. And also with even with chai, and even with the work we do, like the long term goal, my medicine would tie into it, to public health, to community work, to outreaches, to working with women. So many things. It's
Yeah,
providing access, it's providing health, it's providing empowerment, and so many things. Mental health. So all of that, medicine is going to help me
yeah,
in that way,
mm,
right? I
yeah,
Even if I had practiced medicine and gone into residency and all, I would have gone into psychiatry. So even outside of that, now I can continue in the academic line of studying of clinical psychology, or or not clinical psychology, sorry, of psychology, studying psychology, Islamic psychology, even
yeah,
psychiatry itself, global mental health, and so many things. There's so many directions I could possibly take that I haven't
yeah.
taken yet, but I know that there are so many directions.
Eventually,
It
yeah,
doesn't always look like a table and desk job,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
or clinical practice of hospitals and all. There are different ways doctors can contribute to society as well.
Absolutely.
And honestly, that's where I give myself grace, I believe.
Yeah.
And honestly, one of the biggest decisions about medicine, not that let me just state that I love medicine and I still do. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like if circumstances were different, probably I would still practice medicine, right? But
Yeah.
medicine was taking way too much than I was willing to give it as a Muslim woman. There's a wife and a mother, and
Yeah.
just balancing all of those things, and then
Yeah.
balancing chai, and where I saw myself, like what a life well lived looks like to me. So all of this ties into self awareness, self development as well, and then me realizing where I want to be, right? And
Yeah.
when I looked into the future for myself, all of that did not align. So that was why I knew I had to take a step back and look at what I wanted to do, where I wanted to be. And this direction makes more sense for me than the other direction. If along the
Yeah.
way you people see me coming back to residency, please, nobody should judge me. It means the line is no longer looking straight. I'll come back.
There is no judgment. It's funny. It's funny that you talk about this. I think when I came across your post at the time when you said you were walking away sort of from the medical field. I was
Yeah.
also on the fence of, wanting to walk away from my 9 to 5. And it was just funny that every content I started seeing, when they say he who has a nail, or he who has a hammer only sees a nail. Every
Yes.
content I was seeing was just nudging me towards what way, yeah. So I
Honestly.
remember your
Honestly.
seeing your post. I think it was like it was the final straw for me. Like when I saw that, I was like, this is beautiful. And this aligns with
And you know,
what I feel
you're not the only
deeply. So
person.
I think I'm just going,
You're not the only person. I've
yeah,
had this conversation with
there's so
multiple
many.
women. Yes, I know so many women that left
Yeah,
9 to 5 jobs after I left my 9 to 5 job. I'm like, what? So all of you are just waiting. And sometimes, wallahi, a lot of women, let's be very honest. Now, this is me being candid. A lot of Muslim women, especially those that are becoming very, very self-aware spiritually and,
yeah,
just generally being self-aware, they are realizing
yeah,
that, nah, there is more to life than this, And
yeah.
sometimes the pros and the cons are outweighing the pros, and not for every
Mm-hmm.
job. I'm not saying this is for every job, but there is a lot of
Yeah,
lack
of
of
course.
satisfaction, there is a lot of
Yeah.
burnout, there is a lot
Mm-hmm.
of lack of quality time with family and children, and the things that really matter to us, you understand. So it
Yeah.
takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of privilege, even because some families
Yes,
cannot
yes,
do without the
privilege,
two income
definitely.
household, you understand. So
It's
many
true,
things,
absolutely.
but once all of that aligns, sometimes once
Yeah.
you drop it, it
Mm-hmm.
becomes the most peaceful, most freeing thing that you've ever done for a lot of
Yeah,
women. Now, I'm not
absolutely.
putting
I
pressure on
agree.
people to leave their jobs, though.
Yeah,
I'm
of
just
course.
saying that some of us that were feeling restricted by it,
Yeah. Yeah.
society just made it look like for us to be successful, it was only one
It needed
direction.
to
But
be
there is
that route.
something outside the box for all of us to look out.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. In my case, I think from the very beginning, I always knew I wasn't happy with my 9 to 5, but
Yeah,
I tried to stay there because I come from a background that deeply believes in 9 to 5.
yeah.
But I remember I saw your post, and a few days later, I think I saw another YouTube video from
Mhm.
Ali Abdal, and I was like, you know what? These people are just cheering me on. Let's
Honestly,
do this.
honestly, honestly.
Alhamdulillah, it's
Alhamdulillah.
really been a great experience. Alhamdulillah. Um, a lot of people look at you now where you are, and it sort of feels like the struggle has been easy peasy. The the, the success, it's like, you have this magnet for success, and the moment you launch a product or you launch a service or you launch an idea, people are jumping on it. And
Yeah,
I just wanted you to speak to that. Is
okay.
there a part of this that people are not really aware of? I mean, you do your best. I agree. I need to give you your credit. You do your best in letting people know of it's not always as pretty as it seems.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I think there's that ideology, especially for people that are just starting or are thinking about starting. There's a
Mm-hmm.
way society kind of dismisses people that are doing well in a way
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no, she's just lucky because, she she has money abude that other people do not have, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
she gets it easy. And I know that it's not black and white like that. So
Yeah.
can you speak to this, please?
Okay. First of all, you have no business comparing yourself with someone that has been doing the work for years and you are just starting. These are people that
Mhm.
you should be taking inspiration from, not trying to compete with. It's very silly. It's very stupid, if you might ask me, because I have seen people do it. Like right now
Yeah,
with Chai, I'm seeing people that are just starting their platforms and comparing themselves to Chai. And I find it
yeah,
very amusing because you are comparing yourself to years of work. You don't
yeah,
know how far you didn't see. Maybe some of them are quite young. I mean, younger than us. So
yeah,
when we
yeah.
started, probably they were in secondary school and all of that, and now
Mm-hmm.
they're here, and then they didn't know the struggle when Chai first started, how it was. And a lot of the times people think, oh, it's because I have followers, so it's easy
Yeah,
to sell everything. Now
yeah.
trust me, I would tell you that brand, like self branding, is very important. You can
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of followers, and they're not aligning with self development or spiritual development. They're there for fashion, there for lifestyle, they're there for fun and vibes and entertainment and all of that. But alhamdulillah, along the way, I have been able to attract people like me onto my platform. So that's
Yeah.
why, and that didn't happen overnight. That was years of work. That was years of work. That's another thing. Thirdly, I would also say that it's investment. Like this, it's been years. People think like because we charge for tickets and all, we are balling, right? Um,
Yeah.
it's been years of work consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Chai didn't start turning over a profit until in the past couple of months. That's over 5 years later.
Yeah.
5 years
Mm-hmm.
later, it started. You know, when they say that a business doesn't start producing profits and all of that until five, you need to have something stable in the background holding you, because it's not going to be this thing that is going to that is going to pay off now.
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, we could have started getting profits from years ago if we wanted to, by
Yeah.
commercializing it more, by opening it more to people. I had people that wanted to invest, but values did not align. I focused
Mm-hmm.
more on the impact and less on the fame, on the size of it. I don't mind if I have something small for years but has maximum impact. Don't get carried away with the capitalist point of view of profits and getting sponsors, big brands and all of that. You'll get it's all the glitz and glam. Sit down with your core values, and that is your, like, consistently keep coming back to that drawing board. Consistently keep coming back to that drawing board. If you don't know where you're going, you go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And invest in, like, for me, like, in advertisement. Like, even this year, like, no, well, not this year, 2024, I spent millions on advertisement. People think that, oh, because I have a lot of followers. No, I all the
Yeah.
influencers we work with, we pay people, we do sponsored ads, we do so many things, like, for visibility. Someone
Yeah.
recently told me, Sabeeha, chai has become a household name. Duk inda kika shiga, people are always talking about chai. Have you seen what chai is doing? Have you seen this? Because, as I said,
Yeah.
as I said, the dots are
Mm-hmm.
connecting. I have been in the social media game for a long time. I know the power of visuals. I know the
Yeah.
power of social media, and I know the power of um content. So I invest money in it. I make
Yeah.
sure that content is being done, even if we have to spend like, for example, for Zanzibar retreat, we spent thousands of dollars more just to make sure we went with a team member that will just be there for content specifically. That is her job, content. Now, people don't invest that type of money generally. They don't want to. They will look at the money they would have saved, right? And then you'll come back with shitty iPhone content that is not really working well. You understand? So
Yeah. Yeah.
these things are very important, especially in this time and age. But
Yeah.
also, people are seeing the visuals, are not seeing the work behind it.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not seeing all the work, all the tears, all the long hours. There is, as you said, the visionary part. I'm a very
Yeah.
visionary person, and
Yeah.
2025, we just started 2025, right? Today is the
Mm-hmm.
second, and
Mm-hmm.
we have finished all the work, mainly for 2025, prior
Yeah.
to 20 entering 2025. Now, once we are done with Umrah retreat, we are working on 2026. So we are
Yeah.
working in advance. Even if something happens and I am sick, it will carry on. Even if
Yeah.
something happens, I'm not available, I'm pregnant or whatever, it will carry on.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is a team to do it. The thinking, the creativity, the process, the research, everything has been done prior to. So all of these things, as I said, people should,
Mm-hmm.
when you're just starting, look for inspiration. Not look for
Yeah.
you're not competing with anybody. You're already coming to a space that has already been established. Compared to when we started, there was no one doing it. There's no one to look up to, no one to learn from, no one to mentor us. Take
Yeah.
mentors now if they're
The
willing
paved
to mentor you.
good path for a lot of people. True.
Exactly. Attend other spaces. It's like, for example, you sell cake. I have a friend that sells cake, and she says she buys cakes from other people to taste, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
should just it's not really about you're competing with them. No, it's just to see what's out there. So if
Yeah.
other people are having spaces that are similar to what you want to do, to be honest, I would say don't do it. Find something else. Do another niche. Like
Yeah.
now, for example, chai is tailored into this. Someone can open a space, but they're tailored onto marriage, for example.
Yeah.
Chai would do marriage just a little bit, like, our parenting series here and there, but like we're not focused on that, right? So if you pick that as a niche, that is your niche. Don't go into someone else's niche, especially in a market that has already been established. You know,
Yeah.
we're having too many
Yeah.
overlaps. You're getting inspired by people, but then you are eventually imitating instead of
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
taking
There's
inspiration
too
and
much
making it
copy
your
going
own.
around.
Yes, one of the biggest things that I would
Absolutely. Yeah.
say makes chai stand out is the authenticity. the
Yeah.
the staying true to our own values, our own well, I'm very tunnel vision. Like I don't see the people around me, like the chaos of who is copying what, who is doing what is wallahi, I don't see it. I don't focus on it. I am in competition with myself. Like I did well in 2022, 2023 is going to be better. In on whose standard? On Chai standard. 2024 is going to be better
Yeah.
than 2023. And it was, Alhamdulillah. Not because I'm competing with anyone else, but because I'm in competition with what Chai has done last year. So you know that we will
Yeah.
keep upping our game. 2024 was fantastic. You feel, okay, retreats, we did this. No, this year we're doing two international retreats. We're upping our game. We're doing another thing like that we've not launched even yet. We're upping our game. And 2026, higher again, you understand? Because I'm so focused on my own lane. And that's what a lot of people are not. You're not focusing on your journey. You're not focusing on your lane, on your own business. Mind your business and flourish. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that is so beautiful, so brilliant. Even touched on the next question I was going to ask you, which was to speak to people who, creatives that are just coming up, and again, they feel like probably they are screaming at a brick wall. Nobody is responding to what they're selling or
Hmm.
what they're marketing, giving that maybe they might believe you have the advantage of you started earlier on before Instagram became a market or a saturated market. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think you spoke to that beautifully. Thank you so much. Um, and when you
Welcome. But let me
mentioned
add
Chai
to
went
that.
on, Chai, yeah, yeah, please.
Okay, so for creatives that are just starting, right? One thing I would say
Yeah,
is follow person when no rude. Go and do classes. Like a
yeah,
lot of the times, we're not thinking outside the box as creatives. We're very good with creating. We're not very good with the business aspect of things. Take business courses.
yeah,
Network is very
yeah,
important, and put yourself out there.
absolutely.
Build a community, interact with your audience, and or let them know you, let them like you. When people like you, they will follow you anywhere. You understand? Let people know who you
Yeah,
are for them to even like you. Be true to yourself. Don't try to be someone else. Be yourself. They might be the pretty
yeah,
parts, the good parts, the not so good parts. Be vulnerable. Be okay. It's okay. And that's one of the reasons why my page is Soul Unraveled. This is who I am. And you have followed
yes.
me on the journey of from when I was like this to when I am who I am now. And hopefully, continue to grow. And that's okay.
Mhm,
It might not look
mhm.
the same. So it might not even look, it's not even something others will agree with, but that's okay. It's your own journey. Own it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
putting things out there. Like if I look back on the things that we did years ago, they're cringy, but they were necessary for us to get here. You can't
yeah,
you have to go through that process. Put it out there, even
yeah.
if it's not perfect. Do the best you
We
can.
should.
Your best at
Mhm.
that point in time is good enough. Put it out there.
Yeah,
Put it
yeah,
out there
yeah,
and keep building from that. You learn from experience. Like if I look at my write-ups, for example, even if the poetry part, even the book I published, like it's so cringy now, you understand, but it was
yeah,
my best at the time, and that's okay.
yeah.
So
That's enough. Yeah,
as creatives, we should just start where you are at, start with what you have, and then keep upping your game. Keep upping
yeah.
your game. If you're into self-development, make sure you're developing yourself, not just in your room with your journal. Oh. No, go
Let them see.
take courses, attend
Yeah.
spaces,
Hmm.
attend spaces, say
Yeah.
what, teach, learn. Sometimes we
Mhm.
talk too much, we don't listen enough, you understand?
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely
There are
agree.
just so many things, honestly, for us to develop ourselves. So many free platforms out there to make
Yeah.
ourselves more broader. Like for me, I was never a business person. I didn't grow up from a business family. You understand?
Yeah.
We are mboko, we are enkaratu, we are
Yeah.
very serious in that way. Yes, but for me to go into business and all is because you have a knack for something, but also at the same time you don't have any knowledge of it. You have to learn it. You have to like constantly, like I
Yeah.
have a target of how many courses I'm doing. Like for example, January I'm doing the boss workshop, and I have done some of his classes and courses along the way, and not just him, even other coaches as well. So don't feel like you're comfortable where you are at. As long as you
Yeah.
become comfortable, you will not grow. You will not continue to grow. So yes, I would just tell
Yeah.
creatives to please start.
Yeah. Coach Arthur.
Yeah, he's doing
That's
fantastic.
great. Yeah, yeah, he is. I attended Boss Workshop, I think, twice, and then I was a part of his mastermind one time. So it was a really,
Ooh.
yeah,
No, but
he's
we saw
really
the work.
there.
Like I saw the difference. I saw the difference in her space, like before and
Yeah.
after it. You understand?
Yeah,
Like it
yeah,
will.
definitely.
You will definitely see the difference because you have transformed, and it will
Yeah.
transform your space along the way.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
Mm.
like you walked through one door and you're walking out another, a different person. It's absolutely
Completely.
transformational. Yeah,
Yes.
I agree with you. Alhamdulillah. Um, I like what you said about constantly going back to the drawing board and just, realigning with your vision. Because I have found for me, maybe it's different for you. Like you said, you have a tunnel vision, so to speak. For me, sometimes I get to a point where I'm like, what's the point? What am I
Mm.
doing? You
Yeah.
know? And I sort of lose touch.
Mm.
It just happens sometimes. It's not because anything particularly happened. It's just like sometimes you start to, especially like I talked about my background.
Mm.
My parents are very 9 to 5 people. They believe in it so much.
Yeah. Mm.
So sometimes I just find my inner voice just nudging me towards maybe you need to go back to that 9 to 5 lifestyle. Um, and just going back to that vision board has been one of the things that sustains me, just reconnecting with the original
Your
vision.
why. Your why.
Yes, yes. Not just saying, oh, this is where I am now. I need
Mm-hmm,
to take the
mm-hmm.
next step. No, it's just actually going back and saying, when I started this, what did I want out of it? What
Yeah.
picture did I have in my head? And that has been something that
Reaffirming
has,
your intentions.
yeah,
Ajad the
yeah,
denia
yeah,
again and again.
yeah, yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Um, But I ask you now,
Mm.
for you, do you ever have the vision get blurred at some point, or maybe it just gets a bit difficult and you're like, I don't even know what chai is doing anymore. Like, just, that it's doing well in reality, but somehow there's a voice in your head that is telling you that maybe you don't get it. Does that happen to you
It
ever?
happens, especially when I look at the numbers.
Yeah.
It happens, especially when I look at the numbers. Honestly, I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Mutani are making profits. My friends are selling diamonds.
I see.
you know? No, but on a serious note, right? Especially when you keep reinvesting back everything you're making, and
Yeah.
that's necessary, honestly.
Hmm.
Like now, I even tell my assistant if she says, "Boss, we need to do this," I'm like, "Kunga, kuna bi na bashi pa." Like I have you people are owing me money that you need to return back to me,
Yeah.
so I'm not
Yeah.
putting in more money for you people. Like
Yeah.
for chai. So before
Hmm.
everything was my money, everything was me doing all of these things, right? So now it has gotten
Yeah.
to the stage where I'm ready to wean it off,
Yeah.
and it needs to be weaned off. But that's
Hmm.
numbers. Looking at those numbers sometimes makes me feel deflated, as if, what are we doing, and what am I doing, and why am I even doing this? Are people even appreciating the work I am doing, especially
Yeah.
when I'm
Yeah.
trying to struggle to sell tickets? And I'm like, I have done the work. I
It's
have gotten the speaker.
you
I have created this space. I have done this.
yeah.
Your own is just to come and learn and keep it moving. And I'm still begging people to come and pay and come and join. You
Yeah. Yeah.
understand? When
Absolutely.
this
Hmm.
thing is not sponsored by the government. I'm not any politician's daughter. Like I don't have the like I can't host free spaces. And I feel like a lot
Yeah.
of the times people feel like, why are you charging? They don't value things like this. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
So like people will be like, oh, why are you charging? Like for example, the Umrah retreat, right? I had
Hmm.
people message me to say that they would have been able to afford it if I had made it cheaper. I should have used cheaper hotels, and then
Hmm.
more people would have been able to afford it and all. And trust
Yeah.
me, if I had done that, they still wouldn't have registered,
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
they don't value things that are for spiritual and
Yeah.
self-development like that. They still wouldn't they still
Yeah.
wouldn't do it, right? So I would bring down my standards and they
Yeah.
still wouldn't do it. And see, trust me, there are still
Yeah.
people that are messaging me to say, this price, are you sure is really a five-star hotel? So I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. There is always
Mm.
there is always people that are on the higher end of the spectrum and people that are on the lower end of the spectrum. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you have a standard and you maintain that standard. People can save up to do certain things with you, because if you keep fluctuating, you don't go back to that your drawing board, but people will drag
Yeah.
you in different directions because you don't know who you are, you
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes. So you
Absolutely.
have your low moments. It's okay to have low
Hmm.
moments.
Yeah.
Moments when you don't really have motivation. Moments
Hmm.
when it's your discipline that will continue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Motivation comes in bursts. And that's usually when your creativity is at its highest. That's when I draw up my calendars. That's when I draw up like content creation plans and all of those things when I'm feeling very motivated. It might be at
Mm.
2 a.m. on a random Tuesday. But
Yeah.
then there are days when honestly I can't see it. I'm tired. I'm just up and down. I'm just, all of that. And it's not paying off. I'm still broke, you know?
Yeah.
And then and those days are the days when I have to surround myself with positivity, looking back on the work we have done, looking back
Mhm.
on my why, my du'as,
Mhm.
and then discipline. The structure that
Mhm.
you have put in place will continue to carry itself even on the days that you don't feel like carrying it. But
Yeah.
growth
Yeah.
is uncomfortable, Dama. It's different and it's
Okay.
difficult. Nobody wants to talk about how difficult it is to do something that is very not the norm where you are from, or especially from for you, like for your family. It's going to be so much easier for
Yeah.
you to go back to your 9 to 5. But some
Yeah,
of
of
us
course.
are just square pegs in round holes, and we just wouldn't fit. You would never be
No,
satisfied.
no, ever.
Yeah. In the long
Ever.
run,
I
you'll
think,
not be satisfied. So you just continue to hustle and struggle until you
yeah,
get there. And inshallah, we'll get there. We're still young.
yeah,
We're still
yeah,
young.
yeah. Yeah, this time, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. Thank you. When you when you talked about structures, I was also going to kind of just talk about how I see how structured you are as a person, because I think I was opportune to be a guest at one of the first retreat
Mm.
actually, and it was just amazing to see how easily everything was flowing. It just felt so, it felt so effortless. And I think the more effortless it looks, the more work is
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
into it behind the scenes, but most people don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, you speak about values a lot,
Mm.
and I would like to know, what are your values as a human, and what do you use to define the values?
Okay, I think this is not very difficult. My values as a human is my Islamic values. I'm a Muslim first and foremost. Allah is like the center. He is the main, the only, the all of that. So
Yeah.
my values are my Islamic values, and I ground
Hmm.
myself in that. My purpose is to worship Allah, and anything
Hmm.
I do, and that's one of the reasons why, honestly, even with try anything I do, I want my living, my breathing, my working, my everything to tie into worshiping Allah, to tie
Yeah.
into bringing people closer to Allah. It's my da'wah, you understand? So my
Yeah.
values all come down to what it is that I can do to make myself more pleasing to Allah.
Yeah.
So those are my core values, and everything else honestly ties into that. Now, my
Yeah.
personality also plays a role, because even yesterday in the night, I was talking to another friend and she
Yeah.
posted something, and I was like, I agree slightly, but I also disagree. And it was a religious thing. And
Yeah.
I was like, but you and I, what is it that we ever agree on? And she was like, nothing. And we laughed about it. She was like, we have the same values, but we have different methods. And
Yeah.
that's very true, because if you look at even the Sahaba, like all the Sahabas, and even through the Sirah, even the different prophets of Allah, they all have different personalities. Look at like Umar radiallahu anha, and look at Abu Bakr. They have very
Yeah.
different personalities, and their methods are different. The
Yeah.
values are the same, but the way
Yeah.
they do certain things will be different. A judgment that
Yeah.
of something that would be brought to the attention of, for example, Umar radiallahu anha and Abu Bakr might be the same thing, but they will have different thought processes and ways in which they will handle it. Everybody with their own different type of wisdom, I believe. Kiangani. So at the end of the day, my personal values are my core values, are my Islamic values. I'm not where I want to be spiritually, but I'm on that journey. And it's going to be a lifelong
Yeah.
journey. There is no point that we'll say we have arrived and we're the perfect Muslims now. We're not there yet. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But being honest with ourselves, with our journey, and improving ourselves along the way, right? And doing the best
Yeah.
we can to get many more people on that journey along with us.
So, in terms of motherhood, have your values evolved? I know your core values is rooted in Islam, so definitely that's what you would like to instill in
Mm,
your children. But
mm,
when it comes to personality, are there parts of you, obviously, there are parts of us that we would like to gift our children, and there are gaps in us that we would
yeah.
maybe prefer not to. Yeah. But what would you say about that entirely? Do you see yourself obviously you're a very intentional person, so I know you try as much as possible to do the work. But sometimes I think when we see certain parts of ourselves in
Mm-hmm.
our children, it can be triggering, you
Very
know?
triggering.
Yeah.
Very triggering.
Especially when it's the truth you're not ready to face,
I
you know?
agree. I agree.
Yeah, so how has that balanced out for you in terms of your values and personality and the gifts and gaps for
Yeah.
your children?
So yeah, coming back to like the core values again and again, right? For me,
Yeah.
maybe with my parenting values, different things I want for my child, but I want to raise a wholesome, kind, intelligent, wise, happy, well-rounded, strong in his identity and personality, Muslim.
Yeah.
That is the
Yeah.
best version of himself he could possibly be, right? And
Yeah.
now that's all easier said than done. Now,
Hmm.
if we are saying the Islamic values and all, I have to live the Islamic values that I want my child to see.
Yeah.
That's one. When I'm talking about being kind and empathic and all of that, I have to embody being a kind person for my child. I can't keep telling him, be kind. And I have to embody kindness. So for me, parenting has been more of a self transformational journey than a
Yeah.
teaching journey, honestly.
Hmm.
It's been more
Yeah.
work on me than on my child because
Hmm.
me, what I'm doing to my child is an extension and a reflection of where I am at.
Yeah.
Now, when we're talking about, raising someone that is strong in his personality and his identity, for someone to be confident in their identity, which a lot of Muslims now are not, for us to be confident, for us to raise children that are even more confident than we are in their personality, in their identity, as Muslims, and maybe even like Ariwa Muslim people, like black men, right?
Yeah.
We have to raise children that have strong values, strong mouths. Because we give them a voice from a young age. We
Yeah.
give them, we show them that we're raising leaders, not followers.
Hmm.
I'm raising a leader. I want him to know he's a leader because he's a man. He's going to be a leader, whether in his home or in his wherever he finds himself. But
Hmm.
especially in his home, he's a leader, and he needs to nurture that leadership qualities from a young age. And that is difficult because this leader is showing me Pepe.
Scarish. And it's all.
Yes, it's all, but yes, that's where we're talking about our traits looking back at us. Because
Hmm.
just as much as I'm trying to raise an independent child, and
Hmm.
it's easier for me to just tell you what to do, but for me to allow you to think it and then tell me what we should do and all, it wastes time, especially when
Yeah.
I'm in a hurry. It's inconvenient when you're talking back.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes their stubbornness, especially because they're still not emotionally intelligent enough to know that we're their mothers and they can't do certain things back to us, but the
Yeah.
stubbornness, that personality trait of my, especially for me, like I have seen how my stubbornness has helped me as a positive trait, but because we put in work and because my parents guided that stubbornness, because it
Yeah.
can easily take you astray.
Yes. It can go
Yeah,
the other
and
way.
this exactly, and the same thing with your temper or with your mouth. It can become something that you can channel into good, or you can allow it to bring you down. You understand?
Yeah.
So just helping to mold
Yeah.
that has been what
Yeah.
is a bit difficult to navigate. It's today you do the right
Hmm.
thing, tomorrow you're not even sure, am I even doing the right thing or not? But it's educating
Yeah.
yourself again and again. It's seeking counsel. It's making a lot of dua. It's being vulnerable
Yeah.
and aware of when you mess up and you apologize for it and you do better next time. Not you keep apologizing and doing the same thing again and again. But just
Yeah.
as much as
Yeah.
you're being a parent for the first time, the child is being a child for the first time. You're giving each other grace. You're learning together. Be on the same page with your partner as much as possible. You're all different people with different styles. So try as much as possible to see that the core values are similar or the same in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
dua everything. Honestly, dua, dua, dua. Nothing will change things for you like dua will. Honestly, it will look completely bleak and then you will make serious dua
Yeah.
and wallahi Allah will answer the dua and then you will just there because there is nothing that will change it for you apart from dua. You can't return the child. You're stuck with them and they're stuck with you. So as a mother, especially like the dua of a mother, we don't know how long we have. Me for me, like I make dua for my child, his her lineage, and everything, because I don't know how long I have. And these du'as are what will carry him for life, you know. The du'as you make now, keep making them if you're alive and well up until when the time comes. But for now, keep doing the friends they will meet, the spouses that will become, the you know, the jobs that they will have, the children they will have, the life, everything. Like, honestly, I keep
Yeah.
telling Allah, "Ya Allah, I have committed this child to you. You brought him into this world. You will take
Yeah.
him. You will protect him. You will nurture him for me. Ya Allah, everything I instill in him, put barakah in it, because it's not our doing. It is the barakah that Allah puts into it. So every time, keep making dua. Every time, keep making dua, because I won't tell you that, oh, how do you do this? No, I make dua. I just teach him and I make dua, and then Allah makes it stick, or Allah puts barakah in it, and it's just the barakah, you know. At the end of the day, it's Al
Yeah.
Hadi that guides. We are just shepherds. And once we take away
Yeah.
that power of thinking that we can control and create a, you know, a model child, is ridiculous. We can't. We can
Yeah.
only do our
Yeah.
best and leave the rest to God.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful. When you talk about just how much work you have to do on yourself just
Yeah.
so you can sort of help mold your child into the kind of Muslim or the kind of, I wouldn't say human, but the kind of Muslim and, be a better person generally.
Yeah.
I think I kind of felt that very deeply because recently I realized my inner critic is just very mean towards myself.
Mm.
And I think when I think of myself, generally, I think if I'm going to list the top 10 most graceful people I know, I'll put myself in that list at the risk of sounding like I'm boasting about it or something. But
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, it's from Allah,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm able to just give people grace for different things. Sometimes it
Mm-hmm.
even comes off as if I'm not. A lot of people, my siblings especially, they say I'm not very street smart, but it's just that it's not that I don't know that someone is trying to do something that they shouldn't. It's just that I give people grace.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't give myself that kind of grace when I listen to what my inner critic is saying, not in the way I act, but when I listen to the voice inside me, the way it talks to me. I realized if it was someone else that was talking to me this way, I wouldn't really have them in my life as
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
So, but then I'm able to give it out, like dish it out to other people. And one of the things I just kind of made a resolution with myself, I was like, you know what, this year I'm just gonna work on that inner
Yeah.
critic. I want to be as graceful and as respectful with myself as I am with other people.
Yeah.
And hearing you say that, it just feels like, yes, I could be as graceful as I want with my child.
Yeah.
But if my child is constantly watching me
Yeah.
be not
Critical
showing
to
myself
yourself.
at all, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm teaching him one way or the other. It's
Yeah.
not very direct, but it's there. And he might just be I might be nurturing his own inner critic in the way that he would see inner dialogue just has to be very critical in that sense.
Exactly. And even for me,
Yeah.
I'm a very self-critical person.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of work. And I honestly feel like it was one of the biggest, you know, levels of self-love I achieved, was to extend the
Hmm.
same love, because I'm very giving with my love, right? I'm a very loving
Yeah.
person. I'm very maternal. I'm very nurturing with everyone around me, but I wasn't
Hmm.
with myself. So one of the
Yeah.
biggest acts of self-love was for me to internalize all of those traits for myself as well, because I'm not going to be able to bloom in the thunder. I
No.
needed to give myself all the gentle nurturing and all the grace
Yes.
that
Yeah.
I could possibly give myself. And it's very difficult to shut up that inner critic. I'm still
Hmm.
critical, but I'm fair to myself. So
Yeah.
even if I accept criticism, it's with fairness to myself. Um,
Hmm.
you know, you can correct yourself without, you know, battering yourself.
Without
Let the
shaming. Yeah.
punishment match the
Yeah.
offense, you know, all of that. So
Yeah.
be
Absolutely. I
fair with yourself. The way you will be as fair with someone else, be fair with
Mm-hmm.
yourself, but it takes a lot of work, and baby steps are
Yeah.
still steps.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just, I think I made a post about it recently. It's you can't hate yourself into change. You can't guilt
Honestly.
yourself into
Honestly.
becoming better. It needs to come from a place of grace and love.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sabiha, for spending this. much time with us. Before we let you go, is there anything at all you would just like to touch on that I haven't asked you, but you feel is very important and you like the whole world to know about? Um,
Um, I would say I think it will bring us back to the core value of chai,
yeah.
which is to change our ummah. We keep complaining
Mm,
about the society we're in, but we need to change
yeah.
that society because we're stuck with this society. And how do we
Mm,
change? Like for chai, it's changing the world one woman at a time, one conversation at a time, one household at a time. Because
yeah.
at the end of the day, um, we change ourselves, and that's how we change the world. You have to work on yourself.
Hmm.
You can't go out and start changing the world. You have to change yourself to be
Yeah, absolutely.
to be a reflection of what you want the world to be like. Work on yourself, and it will translate to your household, especially as women.
Hmm.
Work on
Yeah.
yourself. If you think you are there yet, then that means you are just starting. You have not arrived. You need to start working on yourself. Work on yourself. Work on yourself again and again.
Mhm.
Better yourself.
Yeah.
Reach your maximum potential. Help nurture your
Hmm.
children. Guide your husbands gradually to it as well. Family
Yeah.
units have disintegrated. Family units have become horrible, and that's why you are seeing, people in the society being horrible because
Yeah.
there is no love at home.
Hmm.
So do as much as possible to put in love in you, then love in your homes, and send your children out into the world with love to give and value to offer the world. Change
Yeah.
begins with us.
Hmm.
Yes. So let's
Absolutely.
work on
Yeah.
ourselves and
Yeah,
let's
that is.
make this ummah something that the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam will be proud of on the
How it is.
day when we are going to meet him, inshallah.
Yeah, that is an absolutely beautiful wrap to this episode. It has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much, Sabiha, for spending time with us, for honoring the invitation. It's been a pleasure.
Wallah, it was an easy invitation to accept, Alhamdulillah. Like,
Alhamdulillah.
I was like, you know what? Yes, I think I should do this. And even these podcast things, I think that they're people that it's easy to talk to and it will flow
Yeah,
naturally. I'm not going to force anything. And I feel values align and all.
yeah,
And I feel that way with her space and with you as an individual. So I'm
yeah.
really, really glad
Thank
I
you.
came. And I hope someone learned at least one thing from this and it would be of
Inshallah.
benefit to them, inshallah.
Yeah.
And may Allah reunite us all in Jannah.
Thank you so much. You have made it all the way to the end of this episode. Your support means everything to us. Help us achieve our goal of becoming the number one health and wellness podcast in Africa and the world by engaging with the podcast. Like, subscribe, and share it with the people that you love. And if you'd like to connect with our guest speaker, you'll find their contact information in the description box. We truly appreciate you for being a part of the Health Space community.